toward ledger accounts. Okay, so today we're going to focus on putting transactions into the specific general ledger accounts. So we have our general journal, and we're just going to go line for line. Okay, so we have our first one, April 1st, we have cash, $2,500. So go to the next page, and it should be on page 62, and you should find your cash account. Oops. Okay, and now we're just going to bring that information down, right? So again, it's our first date, so we got to put the full 2019 April 1st. Again, right now we don't care about anything in the item column. Our reference number is going to be the journal and the page number we got it from. So we got it from the general journal, page 1. So our reference number is going to be G1. Okay. Our transaction was a debit of $2,500. So I put debit, $2,500, the first debit. And in the next one, we got to calculate our total. What kind of normal balance does cash have? Debit. Okay, so it's, right now there's 0 in here, so 2,500 plus 0?
2,500.
2,500. Okay, questions about that? So now we take the account number, 110, go back to our general ledger, or excuse me, general journal, I don't know why I didn't go far enough. In the post reference here, I'm going to put 110. So go back to page 61 and put, and put 110 on the first line in the post reference. Got it? Okay. I do not put that number in until I'm done with that account. Then once I'm done doing on the account, then I come back and put the number. That way I know I'm done with that line. So if I leave and come back later, I've seen some people come down and write every single number on there. Well, they come back later, they miss some because they didn't know where they left off. So do not do that until the end. Okay? All right, questions about cash? Everybody get that on the ledger? All right, so next we got Omar Capital. Zoom tight. So we go find the owner's equity account. I got it on page 63. Okay, so again, it's our first one. So we're going to put the full date, 2019, April 1st. Post reference again is going to be G1. This was a credit for $2,500. Capital has what kind of normal balance? Credit. So over on the balance side, $2,500. Okay, everybody good? Okay. Then the last step, go back to page 61.
Right, 310.
Where? In the post reference. Okay. Questions? All right, on the next one, we paid cash for prepaid insurance. So our debit line is our prepaid insurance. So that should be with an asset. It's at towards the bottom of page 62. So again, full date, 2019, April. I already forgot what day it was. 3rd. Post reference, what's that going to be? G1. And how much did we buy in prepaid insurance? Did we? What's that? 330. Because I thought I heard 3,300. Okay, so debit $330. What kind of normal balance does prepaid insurance have? Debit. So that $330 goes over to the debit. Okay. Questions there? Okay, so then we go back to page, what number are we going to write? 140. Okay. Questions? Everybody good? All right, so then we got to do the cash part. This time we're taking cash out. It's our second transaction here, so all we have to do is put the third. Again, we're going to put G1. We're crediting 330. It's not the same normal balance. It's not the same as the balance. We credited and a debit. So we have to subtract the balance, $2,500 minus $330. Okay? That is $2,170. Cash has a normal balance, so the balance still goes in the debit side. Okay? So now we're getting a running balance going. Questions? Okay. So then we come back to our cash line here on the third and put 110. Okay, here we bought supplies on account from Randy Ready Supply. So first we're going to go find our supplies. First transaction, so we're putting the full date. So 2019, April 4th. Post reference is what? G1. How much do we buy in supplies? 160. What's our balance? Debit of 160. All right, hopefully that's recording again. So what did I get? Did we get that in there? So now we got to take 130 back to the first page and put that here. Okay. Questions about supplies? All right, so now we're going to go to accounts payable. I believe that's on page 63. Top one on page 63. Again, it's our first one. So 2019, April 4th, G1. We're crediting for 160. What kind of normal balance does an accounts payable have? Credit. So credit 160. Okay, so now we can look on here. We know we owe Ready Supply 160 bucks. Questions? Okay, so we take 210, go back to page one, back to our general journal. 210. All right. Now, questions? All right, we received cash from sales on April 8th, $325. So we're going to go to our cash. And this is the 8th. So we're going to put 8 here. Post reference G1. We're going to debit 325. We have a debit and a debit. So do we increase or decrease? Increase. So we're going to add 2170 to 325. I get 2495. Gesundheit. Gesundheit. Questions about that? All right, so then we go back on line 7 in the post reference 110. Okay, what page is sales on? 63. So we go over to page 63, we find our sales account. I'm sorry. Oops, did you get this? Okay, and then you get 110 on line 7. Yeah. So then we're going to find sales. You ready? Ready? Okay. So again, we're going to put the full date. So 2019, April 8th. G1. Are we debiting or crediting? Crediting 325. Normal balance for sales? Credit 325. Questions about that? Everybody good? Okay, so then we take 410, and I'm going to put that in line 8, post reference. Oops. Questions? Okay, on the 9th, we sold services on account to Dan Carroll, $122. So now we're going to go find our accounts receivable, right underneath cash. Again, it's the full date. So 2019, April 9th. G1. Debit 122. And we got a debit balance of 122. Everybody good? Okay. So we go back, find back on line 9, and that's 120. Okay. So then we go find sales. Are we increasing or decreasing sales? Increasing. Again, we already have one here, so we only have to put the day. So 9, G1. We're crediting 122. So we got a credit and a credit. Because they're the same, we add. Okay, so 325 plus 122.
447.
Yep, 447. Okay. Then we go back to our general journal. And we're going to put 410 in the post reference. Okay. Questions? Everybody good? All right, so now we paid cash for rent, $260. So we go find our rent expense. That should also be on page 63. Okay, so we're going to put our full date. So 2019, April 10th? No. Oh, sorry, 12th. I'm looking at the wrong page for some reason. Post reference is G1. Our expenses debited or credited? Or do we debit this or credit it? Debit it. 260. Debit balance or credit balance? Debit balance, good. 260 debit. Okay, questions? All right, so then we go back. And we put, what was it, 510? Thank you. Okay, then we go find cash, and we got to credit that out of cash. So we got 12. G1. We're going to credit 260. So we got a debit and a credit. Do we add or subtract? Subtract. So 2495 minus 260, I get 2235. If I were to make a mistake on one of those numbers, how do I fix it? Do I erase it? Do I put white out on it? Do I just draw a line through it and write it above? Draw a line through it and write it above. Unless you want to answer a lot of questions during auditing. Okay, questions? So we come back here, cash account number, 110. All right, we paid cash on account to Ready Supply, $80. So we're going to go find Ready Supply. Back on page 63, yep, top of 63. So we paid on the 15th. Again, G1, we're debiting $80. 160 plus or minus 80? Minus. So 160 minus 80 is 80. Okay. Questions? Okay, so then we come back to our general journal and we're going to write 210. We got it? Okay, so go to cash. We're going to take the 80 out of here. So 15, G1, $80 is credited, right? So 2235 minus 80. Just heard part. I imagine you said the rest, but 2155. 2155. Got it? Please? All right, so then we come back to line 14 and put 110. Okay, so the next one, received cash on account from Dan Carroll. So we're going to go find Dan Carroll's. He paid us on the 16th. G1. Oops, I'm sorry. We'll come back to that. I did the wrong one first. So we got cash. 16th, G1. We're going to debit 65, right? So 2155 plus 65. I get 2220. Don't forget to put change on there. It's just going to be 00. Everybody got that? All right, so then we come back. 110. So then we go, now we go to Dan Carroll. So 16th, G1, we're going to credit 65. 122 minus 65 is 57. So he still owes us $57. Questions? Okay, everybody good? So then we come back, and his account number is 120. And then the last one. So everybody ready for drawing? All right, so we go find the drawing. Should be on page 63. Oops, didn't go far enough. Okay, so again, we got to put the full date. So 2019, April 1st, G1. He's taking out $500. Drawing has what kind of normal balance? Debit. Okay. So we debit 500. Again, you can use your cheat sheets. The other one's got the T accounts if you need to figure out what normal balance is. Okay, and even the increase and decrease side. All right. So then we go back to our general journal. Come down here. Drawing is 320. Okay. Then we go to cash. So on the cash, he took it out on the 25th. G1. We're going to credit 500. 2220 minus 500. 1720. Okay. So I come back, and on that last transaction, I'm going to put 110. I can tell you, a lot of people forget to do that last one. Okay? Make sure you do that last one still. All right, questions about those posting? All right, the next thing on instruction number 2, it says proof cash. We need to make sure that what we have in our cash account in our general ledger matches what we say we have in our checking account. Okay? So if we look on here, it gives us 1720. That number is what we think we have in our checking account. I think we still have to reconcile with the bank account, which we'll do in chapter 5 or 6. But right now, we think we have 1720 in our checking account. So we go to our ledger, our cash ledger account, that should equal the last balance. If it doesn't equal, we got to go back and figure out why. Okay, question, make sense? Questions? Okay, so go ahead and turn. I think I might have to give you part of it back. So we go to the application problem. You don't have app 4.1, do you? So 71, and I'll get you 70 here in a second. Hopefully I put it in the right spot. And then on page, we got 4.2 on page 116. That we only need that to make sure we get our proving cash correct. Okay, questions about that? All right.